And again, this is the theories. We're playing with our theories now, and this is again the discussion we're gonna have at the end of this video, just regarding theories and comics and all that stuff. And if it isn't Mephisto, if it isn't the Darkhold, will it be disappointing? But again, kicking it to you, Amanda. I know you said you might not be too familiar with the Darkhold, but just kind of your thoughts on what this book could potentially mean. And we'll get into, I guess we might as well just kind of dive into it now. It's the Book of Sins. It's the Book of Spells. It's an ancient book. It's a book of knowledge. I didn't watch too much of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but it's a big thing at Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. because it introduced Ghost Rider, which, I mean, I would love to see Ghost Rider because he was actually created by Mephisto, which, again, the Mephisto things are kind of leading to that. But this is a very important book, and I think this book has some importance regarding this hex. But just your thoughts on kind of knowing this is a book of sins and Mephisto, and it's in the basement. Kind of your thoughts on this this Darkhold.
Like you said, it could open up a lot of doors. And Wanda's going to be connected to like multiverse and all that type of situation. We don't know what has been created because of her breaking through this reality. We have no idea. So if it opens more doors for more characters, I'm all for it, as long as it's executed properly.
Yeah.
And I think I'm optimistic. I'm very optimistic to see where it goes.
What about you, Chris, regarding this demonic book that holds knowledge, and it's the Book of Sins, and just kind of theorizing on why someone would want that book, and what is the significance of Wanda maybe being the key to opening the book or manipulating the book and creating the sons, her twins, from this book? Just kind of your thoughts on this Book of Sins.
Yeah, I wasn't really familiar with the book and all that stuff, so I'm interested to hear, from the panel on it. But the first thing I thought of, about a popular book, I was like, okay, I think back to Doctor Strange, and that's how it gets a connecting to to the Wanda thing of villain in the Doctor Strange multiverse of madness. So that's where I could see it going. But excited to get the history lesson I'm about to get. So I'll yield my turn.
That was definitely going to be brought up in my notes regarding what you just said about Doctor Strange. And we'll get to that when I get to my thoughts on it. But Q, man, your thoughts on this, again, being a big horror fan, the Book of Sins, man. What's your thoughts on this potential of this book being something very important to the show and then also in the MCU?
Yeah, I'm sure Mike's about to give us the whole breakdown of this bock, because I'm not gonna even lie.
I bet a stack Mike got the book.
Yeah. He got
the book. Back there, Mike.
Yeah, here it is, right here. I got the book. I don't know too much about this book, and she is Scarlet Witch, and it's definitely witchy things that's going on. But of course, this whole book reminds me of the Necronomicon, from Evil Dead, of course. And whatever this brings, I'm not really sure because I'm not too familiar with that source material. I didn't go that deep into the Scarlet Witch, so I'm watching it as an audience. But I know it's going to bring, supernatural elements to the MCU, maybe even open the multiverse type thing. I really don't know. I'm just speculating at this point. I'm just along for the ride, so I'll yield my turn, and I would like to get educated on this matter.
Gather around, children.
That's the campfire.
All right, Michael, educate us. But I'm about to disappoint y'all. I don't know what the book is. So, because the reason I said, because it could be the Darkhold, but it doesn't look like, in terms of like the symbolism and stuff like that, like it doesn't look like the Darkhold from the comic, because the Darkhold literally has a D on it. And then jumping to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., it doesn't look like the same Darkhold from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., literally it has Darkhold on the book. So I'm like, I don't know if they're just going to go a different route with the Darkhold, or maybe because Agatha is a witch, maybe it's just her Book of Shadows, which every witch has a Book of Shadows, and that's their Book of Spells. But I mean, if it is the Darkhold, the Darkhold doesn't necessarily connect to Mephisto. Yeah, I can see the screen right now. Yeah, the book, right, the third one to the at the top. That's what the Darkhold looks like, but that's not what the book looked like in the show. But if it is the Darkhold, that would connect to Wanda specifically, but not Mephisto, because the Darkhold was created by an elder god named Cthulhu, who's basically Marvel's version of Cthulhu. And he, it's basically a book of dark spells, and he wrote, all his most most powerful magics in it, and then it got passed from Dark Wizard to Dark Wizard throughout the line, and it also the Darkhold was also in helping with creation of vampires. So again, if they're smart, they could do that since we're getting Blade introduced in the MCU. Again, I don't know if that hot Marvel. If you're listening to this, hire me as a consultant. But yeah, so ultimately, I mean, it could be, it could not be, but then there's also, I mean, I think if I remember correctly, there is a book missing. There was a book missing in Doctor Strange, so it could be that.
Boy, yep.
So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Hey, Shalana, I think you might be on the same wavelength, man. I have it in my notes. I have Doctor Strange as someone to keep an eye out for that book. But man, just your thoughts on the Darkhold and just your theories on the importance of what this book can mean to not only the show but the greater good of the MCU.
I want to piggyback off because I don't believe it's the Darkhold book, but I do believe that there was a book missing, Doctor Strange, and we know.
Yeah.
We already know Wanda's going to be in Doctor Strange 2, but we also forgot to mention that one of the bad guys of Doctor Strange 2 is going to be Baron Mordo, and in Doctor Strange, he was walking around killing magical beings, and now we have a town full of magical people with a book that's missing. Yep. So maybe that ties into the greater, because if Agatha's behind it, she brought back Pietro, she may have been behind the kids being born, and now that the kids are missing, and we see the book is glowing. The kids went to the basement and we don't see any kids. We see the book. And we know Baron Mordo's going after magical items and magical people. Maybe he takes the book, and that's why she's in Doctor Strange looking for him now that the nexus to the multiverse has been opened. It opens up a whole new line of different possibilities. So I don't think it's the Darkhold, but I do think that book does play a greater importance because, again, it's a book that we already have clues from Doctor Strange. We know Wanda's going to be in there. Baron Mordo is actually, we saw at the end of Doctor Strange, he's going to places and just killing you if you have magic that you're not supposed to have. And I don't think anyone is supposed to have magic in this town, because they're at the Sanctum Sanctorum, they protect magic. So like, if we have a town full of magical anomalies going on, like I can see Baron Mordo coming up and offing Dottie or something, right?
Yeah. I'm right there with you, Shalon, regarding Doctor Strange and the multiverse and the missing book. And again, knowing that Doctor Strange, he was missing for 5 years, who was the Sorcerer Supreme, who was running the sanctum that he was gone from. So I think they're and like you just said, the only villain that we have confirmed for Doctor Strange 2 is Chiwetel Ejiofor's character. And I think, as you just mentioned, he wants to get rid of some of these sorcerers and these witches and all that good stuff. So I think it's something to be said about this missing book and how it can connect to Doctor Strange. It might explain why Doctor Strange is involved with Wanda. I need this book. We need to get this multiverse in control. There's a lot of seeds being planted for the future of the MCU. So that Darkhold, go ahead, Michael.
I was gonna say that also really quick. Like this was the first official reference of Wanda having magic when
great point.
When Agatha confronted her, it was like, "You think you're the only magic girl in town?" Like, yes. Granted, we had the commercial with the about the yo magic, but it's still kind of vague. But this was like the moment that was solidified that Wanda has magic.
Yeah, that is a great point. And again, magic, MCU was, I don't want to say they were scared of using the word magic for a while, but even in Doctor Strange, it was manipulating different, it wasn't necessarily magic. Wanda's powers weren't created by magic, it was created by Infinity Stone. But I think now Marvel is kind of, again, Disney, we always think Disney's a soft, kid-friendly, but they're now embracing kind of the darker tones of the MCU. And I think, as you just mentioned, Michael, Blade, Moon Knight, werewolves and vampires and the demonic Mephisto nightmare. So they're getting a little bit more PG than what we normally are used to with Marvel, and I love it because again, it's all various ages are watching Marvel content. I love that they're kind of more embracing the darker elements of what the MCU has to offer. So